The minister's release comes at a time when there has been a rise in the dismissal of female students who suddenly get pregnant in secondary schools all over the national territory. As cited in the circular dated April 22, Secondary Education Minister Professor Pauline Nalova Lyonga has prohibited school authorities from automatically dismissing these students who turn to miss out on their education just because they are pregnant, terming it discriminatory on the part of the female student. However, this has sparked controversy as to the minister's gender approach is to fight discrimination against vulnerable social groups.
The minister is right to a greater extent. To me, I think not all pregnant students should be dismissed from schools. It depends on the circumstances that led to the students getting pregnant. What if the student got pregnant through rape? Do you know the trauma the students will go through if dismissed from school? We need to allow them in school so far as they are able to cope in school with the pregnancy. When we dismiss them, nothing changes. They will still put to birth. But if we allow them, they may achieve two things. That is formal education and the baby. Now, what about those students who get pregnant and abort that we do not even know? If a student skips the pregnancy, we should rather allow her in school than dismissing her.
While some parents turn to appreciate the minister's decision, others, like the religious body, are completely against it, citing that this is a way of promoting unhealthy relationships in schools.
When I went through what the minister published and from things that have been happening, her responses to most of the things that have been happening in our schools, it sounds like she supports most of these atrocities. I think that she should have been looking for ways to crack down most of these things that are happening in schools. Or she goes back to look at the causes of some of these things. What is it that is lacking in our education system? Again, she's coming up here to say that the girl child shouldn't be dismissed if confirmed pregnant, and that the author of the pregnancy also shouldn't be dismissed, and the child should be provided with the psychological and physiological needs. I think it is something that is uncalled for. It sounds like unhealthy relationship is encouraged in our schools. I think the first thing is to discourage most of these things. We are giving the student the upper hand. When they know that these are some of the things the government support, how will the school authority reprimand most of these things happening in their schools? The pregnant girl needs medical care and constant follow-up. What if so many of them are pregnant? What will happen? Will they be allowed to stay in school and the school offers the physiological and psychological need that she claims? Instead of following up the student or teaching, the school becomes a maternity home? Who takes the responsibility of any girl in school in case something happens? A lot needs to be done in our education system as regards the moral life of the children.
Professor Pauline Nalova Lyonga added that this has not been the case with male students or teachers responsible for the pregnancies, as they are not given the same punishment. She, however, enjoins her collaborators to adopt measures that target the pedagogic and psychopedagogic promotion of the reproductive health of students, stating 5 key measures to be taken by them when they are faced with a case of student pregnancy. Well, for Nyoikongadam Emma, who is a secondary school teacher, parents have a major role to play in educating their children at home, and that their duty is not only paying the children's school fees, but also teach them on sex education so as to avoid unwanted or unplanned pregnancies.